Hey there, folks. It's Jimmy Stewart here, hoping this is finding you all doing well. Well, today's video, I'm going to go back to our classic vintage classic guitar series, including now episode or volume number 12. And this is on an acoustic guitar, and I'm talking about this guy right here. Look at this. This is a 1964 Framus Parlor guitar. Now, the model number on this is a 50/I. I'm pretty sure. I did a lot of research over the years on this guitar. Framus made tons of guitars back starting in 1946, and including violins, obviously, but guitars like this, and flat tops, and arch tops, and parlor guitars, and electric guitars, and basses, and you name it. They made them from 1946 to 1975 when they unfortunately went bankrupt. But I'd like to talk about this one right here. This is a parlor guitar. This is a solid spruce top on this with mahogany backs and sides, a mahogany neck, your standard open tuners that they were using back in the day, and they still work very, very well, by the way. No fancy adornments. It has a trapeze bridge with a floating bridge here. This is a mahogany bridge with a mahogany nut and a 0 fret. This is an 18 fret guitar, 0 fret. You can see up here where the Framus decal has slowly started to wear off. It's not really a decal. It's embroidered right into, well, it's stamped into the headstock, but the gold leafing has worn its way off of there, but you can still see it when you look at it, and I'll show you in the up-close video of this guitar. Again, it's a smaller scale parlor guitar, and what was really cool about parlor guitars is, back when they were making these and they were very popular, this was more of a student kind of model, but also a guitar where you didn't have that full big body. If you had smaller hands, a beginner or a smaller or a child, you could get in there and grip it. And even with big hands like I have, I can still play this guitar, and it plays very comfortably. Of course, you don't have that big round sound of a dreadnought or anything like that. This is a parlor, not even as big as a 00 or a 000. Very cool. I haven't played this guitar much recently, and it's been neglected, unfortunately. Again, I have a lot of guitars, so I don't get a chance to play a lot of these, and most of the older models I keep in cases. This one I've had hanging in the studio for a number of years, and I used it on a couple of recordings, I'm going to say probably 20 years ago. This was gifted to me by a close family friend many, many years ago, 5 years ago or so, and he had actually bought it when he was in the service, stationed in Germany over in the mid-60s. And like most players, beginning players, you buy something, you have it, and you keep it for years and maybe never go back to it. And around 25 years ago or so, I was at his house, and he gifted it to me, so great job. Thank you, Bernie. But this is a cool guitar. So what I did yesterday, prior to doing this video, was I took it down. I got it all cleaned up because it really needed it, and I changed the strings over. I put some nice Martin SPs on here. I'll show you a couple of picks up here. You can see how nice the fretboard looks now compared to how it looked. I did a nice cleanup on it. I did do a truss rod adjustment on it as well. Bring the action down just a little bit for me. The new Martin SPs on there, it sounds very nice, and just since yesterday it's holding tune well. Framus guitars. Let's talk a little bit about them. Now, in 1946 is when Framus started. So what happened was, back pre-World War II, in Czechoslovakia, a lot of the violin luthiers and those guitar makers and violin makers were all kind of hanging out. Now, it was post-World War II when Fred Wilfer, who started Framus Guitars in 1946, was realizing that they were going to start expelling a lot of the German folks out of that particular area in the Czech Republic. And so he had contacted a number of government officials in Bavaria and told them of his plans to bring along a lot of these violin luthiers and all those guys from that particular area to Bavaria to start a factory to build musical instruments. And so they agreed with that. And in 1946, he started Framus. Now, Framus is an acronym for Franconia, the FRA, and musical instruments, the MUS. So Framus became the name of the company. Again, they started in 1946 in the Bohemian area of Bavaria, where he brought all the violin luthiers over with him, and it was his job to find housing and start that factory up. So he did. So by 1954, they were doing very, very well, making lots of instruments. He had approximately 170 employees at that time working in the factory there in Bavaria, and they were making up to 2,000 instruments a month. Now remember, it wasn't just all guitars. They were doing violins and banjos and ukuleles and things like that as well. So by the mid-50s, early 60s, guitars had become much more popular. It obviously was the #1 instrument they started making. So by 1966, they were the largest guitar manufacturer in Europe. And they were employing well over 300 employees, doing a ton of instruments a month. Now, a lot of people back in the early 60s were playing Framuses. And there's the famous story of Paul McCartney, who I think in 1956, for his 14th birthday, had received a trumpet for his 14th birthday. And he soon realized that he was not going to be able to sing and play the trumpet at the same time. So he traded in that trumpet for a Framus acoustic guitar. He had a Zenith 17, which he wrote a lot of the early songs that he wrote, and the early Beatles songs that he wrote, including this. So Paul wrote that song on a Framus Zenith 17 guitar, which he still owns to this day, and it's hanging in his studio. Then, of course, John Lennon, back in '65, bought a Framus Hootenanny 12-string. I can show you a picture of that, too. In fact, George would play that on occasion as well. So there was a lot of people that were playing the acoustics from Framus, and Framus obviously made a ton of electrics as well. Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones signed a 3-year agreement back in 1964, I believe it was, for the Star bass that Framus had, and he was an endorser. And some of the early endorsers here in the States were Charlie Mingus and Jim Hall. Now, unfortunately, in 1975, due to all the circumstances that were going on over there, along with the influx of Japanese builders and Japanese instruments flooding the world, really, Framus could no longer hang on, and they went bankrupt in 1975. So it wasn't until 1995 that Fred Wilford's son was able to bring back Framus, the name brand Framus, with another company called the Warwick GmbH & Company Musical Equipment, who now owns the Framus brand, and it is owned and run by Fred Wilford's son, Hans Peter Wilford. So let me take you on a quick tour, an up-close tour of the 1964 Framus Parlor guitar. Let's have a look. Okay, so here's the up close and personal of the 1964 Framus Parlor. This is a 50/I. You can see it's got the trapeze tailpiece down there. This is all original. You can see the tailpiece there that says Made in Germany. You can make that out. With the original strap pin. Trapeze bridge. There is a floating mahogany bridge there. All original. A solid spruce top. There's the inside label. As you can see, this is a 1964. Built in the heart of Bavaria, they say on that. Sorry about the shadow. It's kind of hard to shoot inside a sound hole. But then you have a nice rosewood fretboard. Again, this is an 18 fret, including the, 18 fret plus the 0 fret. There's the 0 fret there. With a mahogany nut. A very cool headstock. Just an overall great little guitar. Very nice sounding for a Parlor guitar as well. And this one's in very, very good shape. Just a couple of small dings. But you're going to expect that. Look at that body. It's just gorgeous. There's your open tuners up there. Original tuners. Everything on this guitar is original. I haven't done anything to this besides clean it and string it and play it. Now, it was around the 46 era when they started doing these guitars, in the late 40s, when they started actually putting truss rods in some of these acoustics. And this does have a truss rod in it, which I adjusted yesterday. And again, I'll show you some pics of that, all that, if I haven't already done that. But this has a, under here, it is a 7mm bolt that you have to adjust for the truss. And I don't think it's ever been done on this guitar since it was made in 1964. So I did it yesterday, and I got the action down pretty nice for an acoustic, small acoustic. So there it is, 1964 Framus Parlor. Solid mahogany back and sides, mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard, and a solid spruce top. This is a beautiful little guitar. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the up-close look at this. Again, this is a cool Parlor guitar. Parlor guitars are great. Again, they're small enough if you're a student, maybe a younger person, somebody with smaller hands, and you're looking to be able to start playing. They're a very good choice. The Framus was an extremely popular Parlor guitar in Europe. And of course, the other Parlor models that were really, really popular here in the States were made by C.F. Martin. But the Framus is very nice. Just a cool little guitar. The Framus 1964 Parlor guitar. Anybody looking for a Parlor guitar, and you're looking vintage perhaps, take a look around. They still have these for sale occasionally. You'll find one on Reverb, or you'll find one on eBay or something like that, or a private seller. They're very, very well made. Framus were very well made guitars. At least they were back in the early days of the Framus. I'm not sure about the newer ones. I haven't seen or played any of the newer versions of Framus, but the older versions, the older guitars, were just wonderful. This has held up very, very nicely since 1964. It's been around the world a number of times. So it gets a thumbs up for me. I hope you enjoyed the Framus Parlor guitar, the 1964 Parlor. Folks, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for stopping into the channel. And if you're still on the fence about subscribing, come on over to the good side. Would love to have you on board. So until next time, folks, it's Jimmy Stewart saying take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. And we'll talk to you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye for now. It's just a song before I go, to whom it may concern. Traveling twice the speed of sound, it's easy to get burned. When the shows are over, we need to travel home. When I open up the door, I need to be alone. She helps me with my suitcase, stands before my eyes, drives me to the airport, to the friendly skies. Going through security, I held her for so long. She finally turned to me in love, and she was gone. It's just a song before I go, lesson to be learned. Traveling twice the speed of sound, it's easy to get burned.